Hi guys, Rahul Shah here, trying to make investing accessible and profitable for the average investor. Now, first up, a very belated happy birthday to one of the world's most successful and respected investors who turned 91 earlier this week. Yes, Warren Buffett, arguably the world's richest investor, had his birthday earlier this week, and the internet was flooded with wishes and messages from his millions of fans across the world. And why not? I think he deserves every bit of it. He has been a wonderful student as well as a teacher of value investing over the decades, always willing to share his wisdom and share his insights on value investing. And he's one of the big reasons why value investing has attained a cult status over the past few decades. Now, there is a huge difference between trying to understand Warren Buffett or trying to be a value investor and being as successful as Warren Buffett or successfully implementing his strategies. His strategies, according to me, are not for everyone, in the sense that a lot of people who blindly emulate his stock picking strategies or stock picking techniques are not as successful as he is. And I think the reason behind this is that investors who follow him, they make the mistake of assuming that his blueprint is the only blueprint of investing out there and is the original blueprint of value investing. But I don't think that's the case. Even Warren Buffett has himself admitted that he is a student of Benjamin Graham, who is the father of value investing, and whatever he's learned about investing is learned from his mentor, his teacher, Benjamin Graham. Of course, what he has done wonderfully well is he's taken the blueprint, the original blueprint of value investing from Benjamin Graham, and customized it or tailored it to suit his needs, to suit his temperament, to suit his thought process, and to suit the enormous capital that he has at his disposal. So while he's still stuck to the original blueprint, Benjamin Graham, he's customized it. What investors need to learn from Warren Buffett is have a blueprint of their own, prepare a blueprint of a kind of strategy, or have a strategy that suits our temperament, suits our requirement, suits the kind of capital we have, and not try and blindly emulate someone. What I mean by this is, the three principles of the original blueprint by Benjamin Graham, value investing blueprint, are known to everyone. You should frame your own strategy or your own technique of value investing in such a way that they do not violate the basic tenets of value investing, those three principles. And at the same time, they're customized or tailored to suit your requirements and your temperament. Now, let me try and explain what these three principles are. So principle number one of value investing is think of stocks as partial ownership of a business. Don't think of it as just a piece of paper or stock quotes on a ticker tape on your screen. Stocks, there's a business behind every stock. Try and value the business and only buy the stock if you're convinced that the price of the stock is a lot less than what the business is worth. So that's principle number one. Think of stock as partial ownership of a business. Now, principle number two is think of the stock market as a moody temperamental fellow. Let's call him Mr. Market. Now, Mr. Market or the stock market is a moody temperamental fellow who's extremely greedy at times and who's extremely fearful at times. So if you as an investor have to be successful in investing, you'll have to buy stocks from Mr. Market when he's fearful, because only then they'll be available at discount to their true values, and sell the stocks to him if when he's in a very cheerful and optimistic mood, because only then he'll be able to give you generous prices for your holdings. So that's principle number two. Principle number three is always insist on a margin of safety while buying. stock picking essentially is taking a bet on the future. Future is highly uncertain. Therefore, in order to protect yourself against losses, in case the future doesn't pan out as you expected, you should always insist on a margin of safety so that you make money if you're right, but you don't lose a great deal if you're wrong. The margin of safety is very important. So these three principles form the bedrock of value investing. They are the original blueprint of value investing. Now, what Warren Buffett has done wonderfully well, he's tailored these principles to his own needs. Like, for example, his interpretation of the first principle of value investing, which is stocks are part ownership of business. He is of the view that once you buy into a stock, you should hold it forever. You should never sell it. Unless the fundamentals of the company deteriorate, you should always, you should keep holding on to a stock, even if it means holding on to it for 10, 20, 30 years. Now, there are stocks in his portfolio he has held on to for 10, 15 and 20 years and still has no intention of selling them. So that's his interpretation of the first principle, where, of course, stock is a part ownership of a business, but once you buy into a business and once the fundamentals remain intact, you should never sell it. The holding period should be forever. His interpretation of the second principle of value investing is, he is not averse to buying a good quality stock even at the peak of a bull market. So even if the broader stock market is expensive, but if Mr. Market is offering him a good quality stock at decent valuations, he'll still go ahead and buy it because he's betting on the business and he believes that if the business is undervalued and has great long-term fundamentals, he'll go ahead and buy the stock irrespective of where the broader market is. So that's his interpretation of the second principle. Third principle, a margin of safety. His interpretation of that is he's willing to pay a small premium for a stock if the underlying quality is good. He's always looking to buy good businesses at fair prices rather than buy fair businesses at good prices. So if the stock has a fair value of rupees 100, which he believes will become 200 in say 4-5 years, he's willing to compromise on the margin of safety. He's willing to buy it at 80, 90 or even at 100 rupees. That's fine with him if the stock is of a good quality and if he thinks that the stock is going to increase his intrinsic value every year. So that's his interpretation of the third principle of value investing, or the original blueprint. Now, there's a different way of interpreting each of these three principles. One of the methods that I prefer using, or my interpretation of each of these three principles, goes something like this. As far as the first principle is concerned, considering stock as part ownership of a business, I am much more willing to churn my portfolio often as compared to Warren Buffett. My holding period is not forever. The stock market is there, so why not take advantage of the stock market and exit a business if it reaches full value and then put the same money into another business. So my interpretation is that I'll still consider stock investing as having part ownership of a business, but I'll buy something at below intrinsic value and sell when it reaches intrinsic value. I'll not hold forever. I'll churn my portfolio more often. So the interpretation is different than that of Warren Buffett, but at the same time, it's not violating the first principle of, stock being part ownership of a business. Second interpretation, my interpretation of it is, just as I'm paying attention to what Mr. Market is offering a particular stock at, I'm also paying attention to the broader stock market valuation. Warren Buffett ignores broader stock market valuation to a large extent, but I'm not willing to buy a stock, put a lot of money in stocks if the broader stock market is expensive. Even if a few good quality stocks are available at reasonable valuations, but the broader stock market is expensive, I'll put only 25-30% of the money in stocks and keep 75-80% in cash, because I think the broader stock market is expensive and is due for a crash. Likewise, if the market falls, I'll do the reverse. I'll, take the money out of cash, put it into stocks because the broader stock market is cheap, and therefore I'll keep toggling between stocks and bonds based on the valuation of the broader stock market, which Warren Buffett is averse to doing. So that's my second interpretation. That's my interpretation of the second principle, which does not violate the principle, which is different than how Warren Buffett interprets it. Third interpretation, of course, Warren Buffett does not want to buy average businesses at good prices. I am okay doing that. In fact, I am on the lookout for average businesses which are available at a big fat margin of safety, because don't think I can chase value stocks, quality stocks that well, because there's a lot of competition out there chasing quality stocks. So I better not be a part of the competition. I'll stay away from the competition and look for average businesses that are trading at a big fat discount to margin of safety. Something that's fairly valued at 100 rupees but is currently trading at 20, 30, 40 rupees in the stock market. So that's my interpretation of the third principle, which is different from Buffett's interpretation, but at the same time, it's not violating the third principle of Benjamin Graham. So this way, I think you can create your own interpretation of three principles of value investing of Benjamin Graham. Try and test them for maybe a year or two and see if they give you encouraging results. If they do, then there's no reason why you should not stick to it, as long as you don't violate the three principles of Benjamin Graham. As long as you keep in mind those 3-4 principles or the blueprint of Benjamin Graham, create your own techniques or strategies of investing. And if the strategy is giving good results year after year over a 3-year, 5-year period, you might as well stick to it rather than copy someone like Warren Buffett blindly, or say even my method blindly. Long term, this will be much more helpful. It will give you a lot more confidence practicing the art of value investing, and I'm pretty confident that it will give you good results as well. So do not follow Warren Buffett blindly. Learn a lot of things from him. Learn his discipline, learn how he's created a strategy which suits his temperament, but do not follow his strategy blindly. Try to create your own strategy around the 3-4 principles I just mentioned, and I think you will definitely be successful over the long term. So that's all from me today. As usual, I'll be awaiting your feedback and comments, so do keep them coming, and I'll see you again next time. Thank you so much.
If you are interested in learning how to potentially add tens of thousands of rupees to your income every month, then click here to block your free spot for my Alpha Wave Profit special event going live on 14th September at 5 p.m. IST.